today we're starting off with the Denver Broncos. Again, going to highlight this probably every single time in case if you're tuning in for the first time because it's your team. This is what we do during the offseason. We go over every NFL team. We review the 2024 season. We go over the 2025 offseason, and then we give our predictions for what we think is going to be happening with this team in the 2025 season. And now we are moving on to the Denver Broncos, which they finished 10-7, first winning record since 2016, snapped an 8-year stretch without a playoff berth, finished third in the AFC West behind the Chargers and the Chiefs. And then in the playoffs, they got stomped in a wild card loss, 31-7 to the Bills. I think that they played slightly above expectation. We thought that they'd be hovering around like the 8 wins mark because when you have Peyton as your head coach, he kind of gives you a little bit of a safe floor. Didn't think they'd make the playoffs, and if they didn't have to play Carson Wentz potentially in the last week of the season, there's probably a good chance that they don't make the playoffs this past season, and then they obviously get stomped in the wild card round. So anything that you'd want to say about the Broncos?
Yeah, they if you look back at the list of quarterbacks that they had the privilege of playing in 2024, it's not a great list. And it was like Carson Wentz, Will Levis. I'm trying to pull it up right now, but it's Carson Wentz, Will Levis, Gardner Minshew. Like, okay, here we go. So they won one game against a decent opponent last year, and it was week 3 against Tampa Bay. But after that, their wins last year came against the Jets with Aaron Rodgers, the Las Vegas Raiders with Aiden O'Connell, the Saints, the Panthers, the Falcons, the Raiders again, Cleveland, the Colts, and then Kansas City at the end of the year with Carson Wentz starting. So all those teams they beat were some of the worst teams in the NFL outside of that week 3 win against the Broncos or against the Bucks. I'm sorry.
Yeah. As we're filming this is this year's media team. This is everyone is all over the Broncos as the team that's going to take the next step, the team that looks the best, the team that, this is new. This hasn't happened yet. And if it has happened before, let me know. They're having a great camp. So this is why they're going to be successful going into the season. I don't know where that's coming from with their camp is good. Like I said that last night about Colin Cowherd. I was watching his show. Who was that about last night when I was texting you guys? I sent you a picture of.
You had what you sent us was his predictions for each division.
Yeah, he picked in the NFC West the Seahawks to finish first, and he said Gray Zabel has been a dog in practice, and the Seahawks have had a very, very good camp. And that is what it is. That is like a narrative that's being spread like across the Broncos, as well as I do think that they have an extremely talented defense, and it's probably going to be one of the best defenses in the entire NFL. I don't understand why everybody thinks this is the team that's going to get over the hump. They finished 3rd in the division last season. I don't think that they've really done anything this offseason to kind of solidify themselves as a perennial playoff team. And the last time that I checked, the AFC West continues to get better. Head coaching, Andy Reid in Kansas City, Jim Harbaugh in Los Angeles, Pete Carroll in Las Vegas, and Sean Payton in Denver. There's no true weak coaching staff in this division anymore. There's not a Antonio Pierce to pretty much pick on. Everybody has had a ton of success their entire career and have great floors of what their outcome is as their tenure as a head coach. They always put up winning seasons. And then the quarterback rooms, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Geno Smith, Bo Nix. I mean, in my opinion, and I don't know if you agree with this, but I think Bo Nix is the worst quarterback out of that list of quarterbacks that I just listed. So I'm just confused on what happened this offseason and what happened going into this season where the media has pretty much crowned them as this team that's going to get over the hump and do all these great things. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like the 20, I think it might have been the 2022 Chargers team with Brandon Staley. But you look back at that team and it's so much more talented. You have like prime Austin Eckler, prime Keenan Allen, Mike Williams is playing at a really high level. Their offensive line is good. Their
Joey
defense,
Bosa and Khalil
yeah,
Mack, like,
and no, not Khalil Mack at the time, but Derwin James. Like
oh yeah,
this team had a ton of talent on it, and way more talent than this Denver Broncos team does, and it kind of fell flat. And it feels like every year when we go into the season, the media picks a team and hyper fixates on them and says that this is the team that's going to get over the hump, and they really never do. And the Denver Broncos right now feel like that team. So my question to you is, what do you think of this division with all of the coaches that I listed? And what do you think about, do you think first, let's just start with this. Do you think Bo Nix is the worst quarterback out of this group of quarterbacks in the AFC West?
yeah, I do. I think Herbert, Mahomes, and Geno Smith are all better. And then I think they probably have the second best coach in the division, though, so that works in their favor. But
We're split. I'm going to come back at you. You're splitting hairs. I mean,
I was just going to say that
yeah,
the gap between all of these guys is not like
slim.
I think Reed is the clear number one, but
Yeah,
the three other guys in that coaching carousel of teams here, I don't really think it's that great of a difference realistically. But yeah, I don't think Bo Nix is by any means the best quarterback in this division. I don't know why people are. He did some good things. They have a really good offensive line, but if you take a look around at the skill position for this team, which we'll get into, it's really not great. They brought in a guy in Evan Ingram that, I mean, he was solid in Jacksonville, but
don't get me started on Evan Ingram.
He's put together like 1.5 good seasons in his NFL career.
Evan Ingram has played one full season in the NFL.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about the roster real quick. I mean, the O-line's it's an extremely solid unit, a well above average unit in the NFL. Then you have below average wide receiver room. Don't anybody in the comments tell me that Courtland Sutton is a good player. He is okay. And at his peak, he's like maybe league average. What did I say? He's the 25th best wide receiver in the NFL. And then the rest of those guys in that room, I mean, I just don't want to hear about how Marvin Mims is going to take the top off of the entire defense. I just don't care. I don't think he's that good. And Vele, like the reports are like Vele's having a good camp. Well, if Vele is one of the best receivers in your room, you have a problem on your hands.
I want to say this too. Everybody, depending on where you go, is having a good or bad
camp. Yeah.
I do not care at all about the preseason. I do not care at all about how guys are doing in camp. It's fun to follow along because that just means we're closer to football. But I try to take all of that stuff with a grain of salt until you actually strap up the pads and are playing the first regular season football game, because every rookie's amazing in camp. Every quarterback is amazing in camp. Every defensive line's amazing in camp, depending on where you're going and who you're trying to talk to. So
this to continue real quick, this receiving room is awful. Courtland Sutton, Marvin Mims Jr., Devon Vele, Trent Sherfield Sr., Pat Bryant, Troy Franklin, A.T. Perry. These just aren't – this is not a good wide receiver room by any stretch of your imagination at all.
So you brought this up in some of these other videos that we've talked about, and I do agree with you here. If you're that good of a quarterback, you can elevate the room around you. but I don't think Bo Nix is a guy that you're expecting in year 2 to go out there and elevate your offense like a Josh Allen, like a Lamar Jackson, like um, a Patrick Mahomes at times from years past, but that's just not who Bo Nix is. At least not in year 2 of his NFL career. Um, so I would expect them to have brought in more offensively from a wide receiver, tight end position, and they really didn't address it with enough urgency, in my opinion.
Where am I not? Like I said, I will give a big up to the offensive line. Good unit. What am I missing here with this offensive skill group and including the quarterback, where Sean Payton talks about how much he loves Bo Nix and how much he trusts him and how great he's doing. The play calling, once we got to a certain point of the season last year, doesn't match up with the words that Sean Payton are preaching. Because when Bo Nix had his most success, he stripped down this offense to the studs and made it extremely easy for Bo Nix. And Bo Nix executed. I will give him that. But he was a check down merchant last year. Like, no matter how much people don't want to admit that for whatever reason, Broncos fans included, he really loves to check down this football. It's not like this is a quarterback that was allowed to go out there and let it loose. So am I, and tell me if I am or not, like, am I missing something about this offensive unit that you're seeing, or can you tell me what everyone else is seeing?
I think everybody else is seeing a rookie quarterback win 11 games and make the
Well, they
playoffs,
won 10.
or 10 games, sorry, and make the playoffs. I think that's what everybody's seeing. I think they're seeing a really good offensive line, which they deserve their credit for that. Um, from a run perspective, I'll say that almost anybody running the football behind this offensive line will be better than Javonte Williams last year. Um, he was absolutely horrific and just didn't help this offensive unit at all. They were significantly better running the football without him. Um, I think the check down piece of it that you mentioned just goes back to the receiver room. There was a couple deep balls to Cortland Sutton periodically throughout the season, but none of those other guys strike any fear into any defenses, and Cortland Sutton barely does either. So I think that's probably why Bo Nix relied so much on the short game and checking it down. And you're right about Sean Payton
That was the
revamping
play
the offense.
calling. That was the play
Revamping,
calling why he was
yeah,
doing
he was very, very conservative. But I guess the play calling is because you don't have guys that are gonna stretch the field. They just don't have good enough wide receivers.
Okay.
So
I
I think
guess
that Sean Payton
I
probably
guess I
did the best of what he could with what's there, and you'd think that that's a spot that they would have addressed in the offseason.
I
But they
disagree with you there. I think that that is more of a verdict on who Bo Nix is as a quarterback compared to who the wide receivers are in the wide receiving room.
let me see. I mean, I think there's validity to both of it. So right here, I'm looking at this chart of Bo Nix, and he had a below average percentage of completions over 10 yards. Um, over he was 29% of percentage 29% of his attempts were behind the line of scrimmage. The NFL average was 22. Um, so basically they weren't really pushing the ball down the field, like you said. And that those numbers
Yes.
right there confirm that. So it probably had to be with Sean Payton being conservative and not wanting to really put his quarterback in
This is
bad
where
situations.
this is where me and you get like off on quarterback like talks whenever we talk about
I,
quarterbacks.
I'm
I've
not saying
noticed
this as a good
is
thing.
no. I know that. I'm just saying in general is like you you view it as like, or maybe you don't, like, this is how I am perceiving it, is like they are like being protective of the offense because of X for whatever reason. I view it as if they are calling plays in a certain manner, like a ton of checkdowns, a ton of this, a ton of that, is because they're not really trusting the quarterback to execute the offense at a high level. Like not every quarterback in the NFL, like because obviously, like you look at teams who kind of play that sort of dink and duck style across the league, they're successful. But like not every single quarterback is asked to do that because they are natural. Like you said it, like they elevate the offense naturally. Like Bo Nix doesn't go out and make these guys any better. He's just at this point, I think he's going to be a system quarterback with Sean Payton, but I view them not being able to push the ball downfield. And I'm not saying like throw bombs to like Deshaun Jackson type. I'm just saying like
No, it's just like 25
throwing
yards
the ball,
downfield.
yeah, throwing the ball across the middle of the field, being able to do more than just like you said, 29% of his throws are behind the line of scrimmage. I just think that is more. It's not about who the talent is at wide receiver. That is just Bo Nix as a quarterback. That's what he's capable of right now in his career. He could get better. I'm not saying that he can't, but I want to see him actually do it because until he does it, last year, what I watched happen was in the beginning of the season, Bo Nix was asked to do more of what me and you are talking about currently. Then it reached a point in the season where Sean Payton realized he was not able to do what was being asked of him and stripped this down to the studs and called a game more applicable to Bo Nix's play style. And that's when we saw this offense not get unlocked, but be better than it was earlier on in the season.
Yeah. Well, I think both of these things play a role. Like if you don't have the guys around you to be able to stretch the field, then that's not a strength of yours on offense. But at the same time, if you don't have a quarterback that's going to be able to make those throws, that's not a strength of your offense either. So like I think there's truth in both of our points here. I think it's probably more so of what you're talking about, but just looking at this receiver room, it doesn't it doesn't bring any fear into me as a defense, like I said.
Oh, no, not at all. But you look across the like I mentioned earlier, like you looked at a lot of the teams that were in the playoffs last season, they don't have wide receiver rooms that quote unquote like strike fear into you the way that you would think. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You can get things done in multiple ways. I think of like and this is obviously to the highest degree, but like Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson don't have high end wide receiving rooms and they strike the fear into every defense that they go against. All right, let's get back into it. So, yeah, I mean, I think that, like I said, I think with the Bo Nix conversation, yeah, we can highlight how bad this unit is, but you also the way that Bo Nix is being spoken about. Maybe this is the point that I was trying to get at before we went into that big thing. There is Bo Nix is spoken about like he's a true elevator by his head coach and his play caller. Like they're like every single thing that you hear about him is like Bo Nix is that guy. And I just feel like we haven't seen him do that. Yeah, I think like I said, somebody can always be better. But also at the same time, Bo Nix is older. He's played a ton of college games. He came into the league older. I think that this might be like maybe like Bo Nix's peak. Like, how much better do you think that he could possibly get?
To be
Is
fair
that
though,
fair?
like they hitched their wagons onto the Bo Nix train
Yeah.
when Sean Payton said, I think he's Drew Brees. So like they're committed. They're gonna say
And Patrick
whatever,
Mahomes.
and Patrick Mahomes. They're gonna say whatever good things they possibly can about this guy. I mean, maybe his ceiling is a little higher, but probably not much more than what it is now.
Okay. So
Like
do you
I
think
look at it, I look at it.
do you think my critique's fair then? Like where I am getting sold something, let's say. Like it feels like I'm getting sold something by the fans, by Sean Payton. Like, Look at how great Bo Nix is. Look at how good he is. When we watch the games, that's not what's going on. So
Yeah.
I'm like, there's a mismatch there, and I'm a little confused by that. Do you feel the same way, or do you feel differently?
I mean, I think he's like and this was his thing coming out. It was like a lot of people thought that he was already at the best that he's going to be because of his age and just experience playing. It's like, okay, he's probably reached like his physical peak. He might be able to add like 5 yards, 10 yards, maybe, but that's asking a lot. If anything, like the growth for Bo Nix would just become like a
Mental.
football
Yeah,
IQ. Yeah. So like I can see that getting better because I think learning under Sean Payton is a blessing. I think he's obviously we both agree that he's a very good coach. So I think
for sure.
that part of it, Bo Nix can get better at, but physically, I don't really see much change happening down the road.
I agree. I do want to highlight one thing too. Success isn't linear. So everyone's really excited about this defense this year. I think that's rightfully so. Like, I don't think that that's out of line to be extremely excited about what this defense could possibly be. But at the same time, they will show signs of regression. They led the league in sacks last season, and that usually they could still have a lot of sacks, but they're not going to lead the league again. We watched what happened with the Eagles, the Super Bowl year to the year where they lost in the wild card, where they had a season where they led the league in sacks, and then it fell off, and then we watched their defense struggle a little bit. I don't think this defense is going to struggle, but I think that matters a little bit. And the Broncos also had the fewest injuries on their team last year in the entire NFL. And those two things definitely matter coming into a season where the sacks, you're not going to lead the league in sacks again, most likely. And knock on wood, I want their whole team to stay healthy. I want every team in the NFL to stay healthy, but knock on wood, you're probably not going to be the most healthy team in the entire NFL again.
No, the defense was great, but keep in mind they faced the fourth easiest schedule of offenses in the NFL last year. So
I didn't say
I
that. You
do
did.
I do think this defense is really good, but do either one of us expect them to have the same type of success that they had last year? Absolutely not. I think they're really
No,
good. I think they're really good, but they went from zero to hero basically. And
I I do want to highlight some things here. Like, let's get into some stats. Offensive DVOA, they were 19th in the NFL. Defensive DVOA, they were 13th, all while finishing in third in points allowed and first in sacks. They were a bend don't break type of defense, best red zone defense in the NFL. I think Nick Benito and obviously Pat Surtain II are absolute dogs, but that is something to kind of keep an eye on, where you had an all-time season, let's say, from a points allowed perspective and a sacks perspective, and all of like those metrics that are taken in to mash up this DVOA, you weren't even considered like a Super Bowl defense, which would be a top 5 to 4-1 defense. Usually top 5, you're out of that equation. But being 13th, they weren't even in the top 10. Is that, what do you think of that? I was surprised when I saw that.
yeah, I mean, I would expect it to be better than that based off of how everybody is also saying they're basically the steel curtain now. So, like,
Yeah, literally.
I I would expect numbers to be better than that. Um, but all that really tells me is there are some cracks in the armor, and they're not going to lead the league in sacks next year. If they do, I'll be shocked. And the odds of them like finishing third in points allowed again is probably not that great either. And it all just goes back to hearing that they played the fourth easiest schedule of offenses. You would expect that number to be better.
But they're having a really good camp.
They're having the best camp ever.
I'm with you. I just think just we're sitting here, we're talking about it. Like, this is a team, obviously. We like the defense. We're not saying anything, but it's not the league's top defense. And then on offense, this was a below average offense last year as well. And they didn't do anything to it. There's nothing that changed on this offense where you're like, oh my God, this is a massive revelation. And I don't know if there was anything they could have done to make this offense like better at any skill position. Maybe taking a better running back early is what you can ask for. Maybe a tight end.
Maybe take a wide receiver rather than a nickel corner with your first pick.
We'll get into that. I just think that really what I'm getting at here, and we'll get into it when we talk more, is I think almost people should tamper their expectations a little bit with this Broncos team rather than push them to the moon.
Yeah, but they're camp.
They're camp. Dude.
It's just way too good.
All right, let's get into 2025 offseason. Not too much roster turnaround. They got rid of Javonte Williams. He stinks. Is there anybody else that I missed while looking at this or no?
Cody Barton went to the Titans and Zach Wilson went to the Dolphins. Lil Jordan Humphrey went to the Giants.
Okay. Big losses.
So no big losses.
New additions. The highlight additions that everybody really loves to start off with is Hufanga and Dre Greenlaw, which on paper, should be good. I
high risk, high reward.
That should be a problem, but I'm just looking at Hufanga over the last 2 seasons. He played 10 games in 2023, and he played 7 games in 2024. Obviously, injuries have been a little bit of an issue for him. And then at the same time, they added Dre Greenlaw. And let me just look at his games played over the last few years. He obviously tore his Achilles in the Super Bowl, which was crazy. But just going back to 2021, he played 3 games, 2022, 15, 2023, 15, and then 2024, he played 2. This is somebody who, 2019, he played 16, 2020, he played 13. This is somebody who never plays a full season. And I think that that's probably something to highlight. Although I do think Dre Greenlaw is very good. An Achilles tear is just one of those injuries that doesn't matter who you are. You never really come back the same from that Achilles tear. And he came back last season, automatically left with some soreness in his calf. Something to monitor. I don't know if you're getting peak Dre Greenlaw, and I think that's fair to say, don't you think?
Yeah, side note, do you know what Dre Greenlaw's full name is and how you spell it?
No idea.
It's Keandre Jaquan Greenlaw, and it's spelled like I've never seen anybody spell their name before.
Spell it.
But K-E apostrophe capital A-U-N-D-R-E, and then Jaquan is J apostrophe capital Q-U-A-N.
Wow. Well, that's why he goes by Dre.
Yeah. So no, I don't think you're gonna get peak Dre Greenlaw. And also, just as a reminder, normally when you're coming off an injury like that, it takes a full year of play to get back to even 85% probably. So
we talked about this. Who's one player who tore their Achilles who rounded back into complete form? Was it just Kevin Durant?
Well, not necessarily Achilles, but a year after tearing your ACL or having a significant leg injury, Tony Pollard was not great the first year back after he tore his ACL, and then last year he broke his leg. Sorry, and then last year he was much better.
Yeah, I know. I'm with you on that aspect. The year it takes the year after the year.
But Achilles.
Is there anybody who is returned to full form? Do you think off the top of your head? I only think of Kevin Durant that has looked normal after post Achilles tear where he's still extremely special. I don't know any other player that has overcome that a professional athlete.
Yeah, normally it's just been ACLs. I mean, recently we've seen more Achilles injuries. I mean, Kobe tore his Achilles, and he obviously didn't come back, but he tore his Achilles like at the end of his career. Um,
It was like a decade ago.
who else? Not Kevin Durant, Jason Tatum, and uh, Tyrese Halliburton both just tore their Achilles. So like we're seeing that injury pop up a lot more now. So realistically, I feel like we're gonna have to wait a little bit to see.
I'm thinking off the top of my head right away. Cam Akers never was the same guy.
I thought he was ACL. I forgot.
Aaron Rodgers, never the same guy. And
Again, though, that was a guy that did it
but he doesn't rely on like his athleticism to begin with. But like this is somebody like Dre Greenlaw is like an explosive player. Like he is known for his explosiveness. J.K. Dobbins, he'll never be the same player ever again. So just something to keep in mind. Evan Ingram, we highlighted the Evan Ingram acquisition already a few times. Trent Sherfield, you said it. These players are potentially high risk, high reward. And if the Hufanga and Dre Greenlaw, if they look like they did in San Fran 3 seasons ago when they had that nasty defense, I'll eat my words. But I'm proceeding with caution.
Yeah, that's where I'm at right now with these guys too. High risk, high reward. They added to a defense though that is good. So like maybe that plays into it too, where they don't have to be the superstars that they once were per se. So that might be something to consider. But if they end up hitting and staying healthy, then good for the Broncos. They took a swing on 2 guys, and it could end up paying off. Or you end up bringing in 2 other guys that are swing and miss. So
I agree.
I will proceed with caution there.
2025 draft, Jahdae Barron in the first, RJ Harvey in the second, Pat Bryant, the wide receiver, Savion Bryant, Deanda in the third, and then Q Robinson. I said this immediately when they drafted Jahdae Barron. That was a luxury pick. It felt like when this is a team that has holes that need to get filled. Jahdae Barron's a true nickel. Like if you want to see him be most successful, like he is not an outside corner. He'll never play outside corner for them. And I just looked at, I told you, I looked at their depth chart when I was looking for this, and he's not even listed as their starter. Jaquan McMillan's in front of him, Reese Taylor's in front of him, and then it's Jahdae Barron. I think that's a little concerning. I mean, that's somebody that you took in the first round that you're kind of expecting to be an impact player right away. And then they went and took RJ Hart. Hello?
You cut out. You said they went and took RJ Harvey.
They went and took RJ Harvey, which I don't know how good he's going to be. He's a former college quarterback. I mean, I don't know how many former college quarterbacks like went on into he obviously played a year of running back in the NFL or in college before he went to the NFL or 2, but how often does that success translate where this guy's a quarterback and transitions into a running back and then really pops? Has that ever happened?
I only think that he was recruited, or because I'm looking at his college stats and it looks like he was a running back excuse me, for at least 2 full seasons.
Well, and then what was the rest of the time when he was at Virginia and UCF?
They're only showing his UCF stats on here. Because right now I'm looking at it. 2022, he was a junior at UCF. He had 118 rushing attempts. And then 2023, he had 226. And then 2024, he had 232.
Maybe he never played quarterback then. Oh, no. Yeah, it's looking like
he didn't play quarterback. He didn't. Where did you hear that?
Everyone's been saying that. He got recruited as a quarterback, I guess, because he does have some attempts, maybe as a freshman or so, and then he transitioned into running back almost immediately. So my bad for saying.
It looks like he's only has 4 career attempts.
My bad. I thought he probably played more than that, so that's on me.
No, he's had 2 pretty good season as a running back at UCF. He had in 2023 he rushed for 1,400 yards and 16 touchdowns, and in 2024 he rushed for 1,500 yards and 22 touchdowns.
Yeah, I'm looking at it here. He was a dual threat 3-star out of Florida. He was a quarterback, and then he
Quarterback,
transitioned.
and
So
then he
bad.
played. Huh. Well, yeah, I mean that would make me feel better about it.
Even still, looking at that real quick, the second string running backs over the last few seasons, or second round running backs, and guys who you see them come into the NFL and you kind of think like they're going to do a lot, and then they kind of fizzle out. I not fizzle out in a bad way. It's just I don't hate any. What I'm getting at with these picks that they took, I don't hate these picks, but this is like I view these as like long-term picks. I don't view them as in immediate impact type guys. I obviously think that they have potential to be good, but like I think that, like I said, I want to slow down the hype train on a lot of what's going on, where you hear about how great Jahdae Barron is and how great RJ Harvey is. And you alluded to it, like RJ Harvey is probably, he might get 50-50 snaps or whatever, 60-40, but they're not the starters. Like these guys didn't get drafted to come in and be immediate day one starters. So I think that I don't hate the direction that they went, but I don't think that Rome's built in a day either. I think that the Broncos will be good. I just don't think they're at that level that everybody thinks they're at right now.
Was Brady being serious that day that he was like, Sean Payton never announces his actual depth chart? Like, is that a thing that he's done before?
I don't know. I don't see why this whole depth chart looks like the starters and on my end right here. I mean,
yeah, I don't know. So he must have just been
that would
being
be two guys. That would be two
Yeah.
guys that, and one's on one, like you said, RJ Harvey was the 4th string that one day it got announced on Twitter. You immediately go over to the official depth chart. He was 2nd on the depth chart.
Okay.
On defense, he used to be the starter and he has fallen into the 3rd string. So I don't,
Must not have been that good of a camp then.
Camp's not as good as advertised, I guess. So I like I said, I don't hate these moves, but I'm giving this offseason to see.
I think that is more concerning than anything, because it seems like those 2 guys were drafted as like, I don't know. I kind of look at it as like those 2 guys were drafted as like almost immediate impact guys because of how bad that running back room was. And it's like, okay, well, you drafted this guy in the 2nd round and you brought it. I get like wanting to have options in a running back room and trying to build a complete one. But if he's not winning the starting job to a J.K. Dobbins who's recovering from an injury, like, is he not having a good camp? Like, what's exactly happening over there? And then your 1st round pick, who you want to just be able to slate in and play nickel right away. What's happening over there? Like, why is he not slating in and playing nickel aside, like next to Pat Surtain and Riley Moss? Like,
you would hope so. You would hope that that's, especially with your 1st round pick, you would hope that that would be a direction that they took. But I don't know. I don't know what's going on. It's interesting for sure. The Vegas win total for them is at 9.5. To win the AFC West is plus 300. To win the AFC is plus 1,400. The Super Bowl plus 2,500. This might have changed, honestly. But I don't. This win total is weird. Like, this division is going to be extremely hard to pick which team is going to be that 2nd team. I think that I obviously predicted the Chiefs to have the year from hell, but I did that to zag a little bit. But I would, me personally, I would automatically by default, the Chargers are a better football team. That the Chargers have kind of earned that right, but I don't know. What are you thinking about the Broncos this season with their win total and to win the West, etc.?
So 9.5. I'm trying to pull. That's what it opened at. I want to see if this is what people are thinking here. I feel like just by default, everybody's been going over it just because that's all that we've been hearing in the media. People picking them to win the division, people picking them to, okay. So over 9.5 wins is now at plus 100. Under 9.5 wins is now minus 120. So it looks like people have started to take people that are betting this have started to take like a step back, because normally it would be the over is looking as like a minus 126 rather than the under. So I'm in agreement with the public right now. I have them going under 9.5. I have them going 9-8. I think their offensive line is too good, and their defense will probably still be really good. I just don't love I think they can win those. I think they can win games with those two units, and I think they'll be a little bit better running the football just because of how bad Javonte Williams was. But the rest of this division is still good. Yes, the Chiefs. I still think the Chiefs will be okay. You think the Chiefs will have their season from hell, but it's like, when's the last time the Chiefs have lost both games to a divisional opponent?
Realistically, they're going to win this division again. Like, Patrick Mahomes has won it every season. So,
yeah, the Chargers are good, and you're not going to beat them twice. And the Raiders are so much better than they were last year, who the two of the Broncos wins came against. So, like, even if they end up splitting, which I think that's probably a more likely scenario this year, their schedule is a little bit more difficult too. So I have them at 9-8. I don't think they win this division. I think they barely missed the playoff. I think they missed the playoffs, but probably by like a game or two.
Yeah, I have this team winning 7 games. I just don't like them at all. I don't think that they're going to be very good. We went into it. They weren't a top 10 unit on either side of the ball, with unreal injury luck, with unreal production from the sack department and allowing points. And if you weren't at the top of your class with those two things, I think that's another reason to be a little bit cautious. And I just don't really think that this offense is good in any way, shape, or form. So I'm going to go 7 games. I think they're worse than they were last year, just because I don't think that they're going to get lucked out with the amount of talent. I mean, the quarterback talent that they played last year, only beating one playoff team last year. They don't have that luxury going into this season. So, yeah, I'm down on the Broncos.
Yeah, the quarterbacks they got to play this year are going to be a little bit more difficult. As of right now, it looks like it's going to go something like, hold on, Cam Ward, Anthony Richardson, or Daniel Jones, Herbert, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields, Russ, Dak, CJ Stroud, Geno, Patrick Mahomes twice, Jaden Daniels, Geno again, Jordan Love, Trevor Lawrence, and then Chiefs, Chargers again. So a much better list of quarterbacks than what they faced last year.
And it's really about their division too. This division is it's disgusting. They're the worst. They're just the worst team in a stacked division, and it's not by much. And I think that the Broncos are going to be good in a few years once they shore up some other things on their roster. But yeah, I'm not moved by this Broncos team right now.
I just spit it. Good girl, we're getting paper as a passion. Collect the stacks and bring it back, man, and take vision.